The Director of Communications at the Jubilee House has indicated that the list of MMDCE nominees has been finalized by President Akufo-Addo. Mr. Eugene Ahin, taking to social media on Wednesday, revealed that the said list will on Thursday be submitted to the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Dan Botwe. According to him, Ghanaians should expect the list to be announced by the minister very soon. His announcement comes at a time when the minority in parliament and some members of the general public have expressed worry over the delay in the appointment of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives by the president. The minority has described the development as unconstitutional and a drawback to the country's decentralization drive. Eugene Ahin has been explaining why the delay.
The persons who are to be appointed MMDCEs are going to be the president's representatives at the local governance structure of our country. So this process has been an exhaustive one. It started off at the regional level. A shortlist was submitted to the national level, and the report by the Dan Botwe-led committee was submitted to the president. He has undertaken due scrutiny of the list that was submitted to him, and yesterday the process was completed. That was yesterday in the evening. And I've been reliably informed that this morning the list has been dispatched to the Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Government. So, whatever be the case, I'm sure as soon as possible the Minister would duly put out that list. I think the governance at the local level was affected in any way whatsoever, because first and foremost, at the expiration of the term of the outgoing MMDCE, it's the president through the chief of staff indicated to all those outgoing DCs to stay put until such time that he's ready to let them go. I mean, just to make sure that there's no vacuum at the local level and to make sure that development continues unabated. I mean, that has been done. But as I indicated, persons who are to be MMDCs are the president's representatives at the local level of our governance structure. So he has to get it right. He can't afford any mistakes. And that has been the reason why he instituted a two-tier vetting approach, if I can put it that way, at the regional level, at the national level. All those things were done, and he also had to satisfy himself, because at the end of the day, they are his appointees, not the appointees of a committee or a particular group. They are his appointees, so he needs to make sure that each person who is going to a district, each person who is going to a municipality or a metropolitan area is well clothed with the necessary expertise and experience to be able to make sure that the agenda he has for the next 4 years is duly carried out. So in terms of a delay, well, I don't see it as a delay because, as I said, there was no vacuum occasioned by this so-called delay. All the old MMDCs were asked to stay put until such time that he gets ready to appoint new ones. So I don't think the delay has occasioned any issue whatsoever at the local level.
I would want to find out if the president settled on the nominated list or changes were made, you would say.
Oh, no. As I indicated, whatever be the case, the committee brought forth its recommendations. If you look at the report that was submitted, there were, in most cases, there were short lists of 1, 2, 3 persons who, in the view of the committee, could become a DC or an MCE. I mean, bottom line is, at the end of the day, they made a recommendation to the president. I mean, it could well be that there could be somebody who was recommended by the committee, who was not recommended by the committee, but the president would deem it fit that, no, this person, in my view, should become a DC or an MC. So, by and large, the president is not bound by the recommendations of the committee. He's not bound by it. At the end of the day, he will look at the list, and if he deems somebody else who is not on the list as recommended by the committee, yes, if he could put in. Bottom line, they are his appointees. So, yes, the report would be a guideline for him, but he's not bound by whatever that document says. They are his appointees. He determines who goes to a district or a municipality or a metropolitan area.
So were there a lot of such changes as the president deems fit?
I can't unfortunately disclose that to you, MFA. But as I said, the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development will put out the list shortly, and once it comes out, I'm sure we'll be able to look through and dissect whatever issues that come out of it.
Eugene Ahin says, though the president has taken time to make selections, he won't be surprised if some are still rejected.
Oh, we don't see such uproars, but I mean, yeah, this is a human institution. Definitely, once Party A is appointed, definitely supporters of Party B would be aggrieved, and who knows, it could translate into the let's say things not going according to plan at the voting level. But as I said, we just have to wait. Hopefully, the pains that the president has taken in order to be able to put out this list should at least it was by consensus basically. So we just hope that they are passed smoothly at the assembly level when voting starts, and we don't have any of these things that have happened in the past occurring. But as I said, it's a human institution. You can't necessarily guarantee dissent, lack of dissent. You can't guarantee that. So once it happens, I'm sure there are ways by which it can be dealt with. But by and large, we expect that the process of voting at the assembly level, once the nominations reach the assembly level, all the voting should proceed according to plan, hopefully.
Well, we've been hearing very soon for the past 9 months or so. How soon is this particular soon that you're giving us this time?
Definitely before tomorrow.
Are we still on course when it comes to the election of MMDCEs?
Well, we all know what transpired when the president tried to make that move. We all saw the position that it was met with by some members of the largest opposition party in the country. I mean, by and large, he's made it clear, even in his rounds in the regions, he's made it clear that, yes, it's something that's to his heart. I mean, once the time comes and once we can reach a consensus, a bipartisan consensus, I mean, the whole country thoroughly agrees on the fact that, yes, I mean, we are ready to elect our MMDCEs along party lines, or at least an election of MMDCEs. Yeah, he's ready to put it back on the table.
So what does this mean for local governance in our country? Joining me in the studio is Frederick Odro, who is governance analyst and lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Local Governance. I'm grateful for your time, Doc. Mr. Odro, I'm conferring this.
Don't worry.
Oh, you. Very soon it will happen, right?
Wow.
Good to see you. But first, let me pick your understanding of what has happened with regards to the appointment of MMDCEs.
Well, there's a part of it that's difficult to analyze. First is the delay. I think this delay has been a little profound. It's taking too long than ever anticipated. But then, as to the jockeying, as to the process, I think by far this is about one of the best processes we've had. Only that I don't think I like the length of time it's taking. Previously, I mean, the law says it's the prerogative of the president to appoint whoever, and then this appointment is endorsed by the assembly members. However, this time around, the president sought to do a lot of consultation. Not only consultation, the process was opened up. Quite a number of people were allowed to present their CVs and pitch for the position. There were some level of selection process involved, first at the regional level, then a number were selected for further interviews.
We even saw mother, father,
siblings, father, son.
All of them wanting to be.
I mean, that was a ridiculous situation.
Very.
But I think that was very good. It's something we've not had before.
Okay.
That whoever believes they are qualified, submit your application. It gives people, I mean, there are so many of the party people and others who may not be in the party, who may think, yes, I'm qualified for this position. Hitherto, there was no opportunity to even put your hat in the ring. So that was a good thing, and I was very happy with that. Then there was the regional level interviews, and then, I mean, some selected people, at least 3 of them were selected for the national level.
Okay.
So if I consider that, I found that to be very good.
Okay.
Because we don't have a system that allows merit But this allowed a lot more merit to be brought into the system. So that was good for me. But the only hiccup for me, is the length of time it's taking to get to this point.
What could be accounting for the delay, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay,
but I could
from what
hazard a
you
guess.
know, go ahead.
I mean, let us take it from the president. Normally, we have people who are in office. I mean, these MMDCs, they are in office. Some have got their tenure ended. The president must reappoint. Some didn't do well. Let us be blunt about it. Some absolutely didn't do well. And then even if we were to take the last election as a yardstick, in as much as people would want to blame MPs who lost their seats, we should also understand that the district chief executives had a role to play in the last election. First, their own performance, whether they did well, whether they were able to carry out activities that show to people that this government did well. If their actions showed that the government didn't do well, automatically they were going to be voted out. Then also was to do with the campaign and their relationship first with their sitting MPs. There were reported cases of chief executives who were at loggerheads with their MPs. And for which reason the MPP as a party in government lost some seats. Naturally, if there is going to be a reappointment process, that issue was going to come up. And then there were also some who did not get on well with key stakeholders. Some had challenges with their chiefs, with their constituents, with their party executives and the like. All these factors are going to play. And then there's also the question of sheer competence. Some people are just incompetent. There's nothing you can do about it. So all these factors will come to play.
So now we're told that the list will be submitted to the Minister for Local Government this morning. Our checks before I came on air indicates that the Ministry of Local Government has not received the list yet. But why is this delay or appointment of MMDCE so much of importance to local governance? In the first place, what has their absence done to the assemblies? Has it affected work in any way?
Well, let me say we cannot talk about their absence. They are still at post.
Those whose terms expired.
Those who terms.
And those have been accused of acting illegally.
That is something I want to leave the court to decide.
Handle.
Because, well, my understanding of the situation is different. My view is that legally, whenever there is a vacancy, until a substantive person is appointed, I'm not aware of any law that debars the president from appointing somebody to act. Even ministers, prior to the appointment and confirmation of ministers, there were situations that the president had representatives at the ministry prior to the formal nomination and then vetting and appointment and all that. So, I mean, once that matter is in court, I want to leave it. But the issue I think is at stake is also, here are a number of them who are trying to get back to be renominated or reappointed. When you have been confirmed as substantive, your posture, your ability to work differs from when you are in the process of going through these vetings and getting appointed. People are lobbying all over the place. Some people could even have left their districts and congregated here in Accra or moving about lobbying influential people to get them reappointed. So from that perspective, I think the focus that's needed might be missing. However, the assembly system runs on a process. Assemblies have got their budgets. First, they have their medium-term plans and their annual action plans based on which they prepare their budgets. Based on the budgets, they have their procurement processes. And then there are key offices in place. The Assembly has got the coordinating director supported by heads of department and a whole bureaucracy that supports their work. So I do not think that in practical terms, there is any point that the process stops. But of course, the chief executives have got a role to play.
Yeah.
They are responsible for the day-to-day administration of the district. I want to see them being focused on their work and ensuring that the right things are done all the time.
Okay.
That is where there could be some challenges here and there. But by and large, the system does not stop.
But we're told that they cannot take major decisions as caretakers.
Well, that for me was something I had a challenge with.
Okay.
That directive that came at the very beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Because we need to understand that there are different laws in operation here. There's a Presidential Transition Act that refers to some of the presidential appointments to do with ministers, to do with boards and chief executives of corporations. But appointment of district chief executives are, they are found in the Local Governance Act. And the Local Governance Act is explicit as to the tenure of office of chief executives for the MMDs. So my worry is that we may have to seek a constitutional interpretation of this. Otherwise, if you ask me, I am of the opinion that where people are appointed, unless they get to the anniversary, the 4th anniversary of their appointment, in the case of MMDCEs, their tenure in office continues until the expiration of that 4-year mandate. And it is not coterminous with that of the president.
That's
so even if there is a change in president, the new president can opt to work with these people until the expiration of their tenure.
That we agree. And that also does not erase the fact that some of them, their tenure had expired.
Towards May.
Yeah.
Around May. The first
somebody
among
like
them,
the mayor of Accra, his tenure expired in March, not May, March.
Was it March? Well, maybe. My memory, I've lost that.
Yes.
So that is it. If the anniversary fell in March, that is when the tenures properly ended.
Yeah.
But from that time until now, if they are there in acting capacity, that is where I would expect them not to take major policy decisions.
Yeah.
But until those anniversaries, I think they had every right to take.
So if they get to that point where they cannot take the major decisions, then you would agree with people who say this could also affect the work of the assemblies?
Again, I would say no.
Okay.
Because the system is there. The assembly this year in 2021, the budget of the assembly, the annual action plan that is relating to 2021 were all approved before by September 2020. So that is going to run until a new budget is prepared.
Okay.
However, if you go into the assembly and you take the budget committee of the assembly, the chief executive is not even a member of the budget committee.
Okay.
The assembly members are still in place. If there's a need for the General Assembly to approve of anything, the General Assembly is in existence to take those actions. So I would not accept that it stops any of their processes. However, I would want a focused chief executive.
Okay.
And I think if you have the challenge of not being reappointed, your focus might not be 100%. And we can't have that kind of situation.
You know, the issue of electing MMDCEs came strongly again on the table with the delay of these MMDCEs. How important is this electing of MMDCEs? And is it the single most important thing we need to actually resolve some of these issues with delay and all the other challenges we have with MMDCEs?
It will solve quite a good number of the challenges.
Okay.
But there's a whole gamut of reforms that we need to make if we want our local government system to respond to the developmental challenges of the country.
Okay.
As we speak, what kind of local government system are we running? I dare say that the system we are running even predates the Constitution.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to understand the structure that have been put in place, we can see it from the PNDC law 207. However, we've tried to move on. Now we have a new law, Local Governance Act, which was made in 2016. However, I still think that the foundation of that law is grounded in the pre-constitution law that we had.
Okay.
And we haven't made any significant effort to move away from the high level of centralization within the local government system.
Okay.
And electing chief executives by popular vote will be one of the surest way of preparing ourselves towards a fully democratic. And now we are not only talking about democratic local governance, we are talking about democratic developmental local governance.
Okay.
And these are some of the steps we must start with. That is one sure start. But there are many other things we need to do.
Okay, what are those things?
Well, that is one, having a democratic system. But then our local government system is overly service-oriented.
Okay.
We have to start looking at it, making it more developmental.
Has it been politicized already? Even as we wait for the election of them. So this election, are we going to do it on party basis? Because I remember that's what brought about the confusion from day one when the President Akufo-Addo wanted us to go that way.
I think first and foremost we should pray and hope the President will bring back that discussion.
Okay.
Then the second point is that in Ghana today, if anything can succeed, we need bipartisan agreements.
Okay. Is this something that will work?
If there is nothing that cannot work in this country, if MPP and NDC agree.
Okay.
I believe there is a need for robust engagement by these two political parties to look at the way forward for our local governance. Because let us be very truthful to ourselves. The system has not given us the dividends we expect from it. For 30 years, I mean, since 1988, 89, up till this time. Let us ask ourselves what support we've received from our local government system. What development can we really see in the ground? There are challenges. The democratic part of it is one. There's also the funding part. How much funds are made available? How resourceful are the MMDs? Then, how responsive are the district assemblies to, let's look at one key program of the government, 1D, 1F. The assembly system is not too responsive to some of these key things we need to do.
Okay.
And that is the way to go if we want development. Because these things are going to create employment, it's going to support income generation, it's going to do so much. So we need to look at all of them in a holistic manner.
So what do you expect now that we're told the list is out, even though we've not cited the list yet?
Well, I do hope it comes out formally. The next steps will be the approval process. And that place is also one area that I have my challenge.
Okay.
My challenge is to do with corruption.
Okay.
People are going to make demands on chief executives before they vote for them, even if they think they are good materials. There may be some people who may not be so good, but because they can pay, they will get through. I think that is one major challenge in our local governance system.
How can we cross this hurdle?
How to cross that hurdle? Well, partly assembly members are also not being well looked after in the system. I think there's the discussion we need to have about supporting assembly members financially. If we need to provide them with some level of enhanced, not salaries, but even the allowances, if you can have it enhanced. And then if the source of paying for the allowances can also be borne by government, that could also be helpful.
But if they have a lot of money to give out to become MCEs and co, then why should they demand more payment?
It depends. The more elevated the assembly, the higher the demand. But the issue is that if we are supporting assembly members, if we are providing them with financial support to carry out their duties, I think that level of expectation will go down. But for now, they receive virtually nothing. Some assemblies even have challenge meeting, the statutory 3 times meeting in a year is a challenge for them. Some subcommittees hardly ever meet. So these are all challenges that they are going through. But we need to resource the assemblies to perform their functions.
I'd like to thank you so much, Frederick Odro, for coming on the pulse. He is a local governance expert and also a lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Local Governance.